Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It is July the 14th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and this will be our last one for the week as usual. No chart lesson on Friday. So, um, another range day today. We had such a big rally during the overnight that we did end up closing up for the day a good bit compared to well, I say a good bit, but yesterday we closed at 2140, basically 2146, and today we closed at 2156. So up 10 points, but you can see the price action was up and down across the EMA all day long. We had a slight downward bias, really, from when I came in. We just continued to make lower highs all the way down till late in the afternoon. And then late this afternoon, we kind of rallied here. You can see that channel working up. I didn't put the trend line back on there. So you really just needed the shorter term stuff. This was important support early on, and most of the important resistance was really across the midline today. So, but let's back out, talk about the trades. But you can see we're making lower highs all the way down and pretty much lower lows. And so it's definitely a downward bias. This reason there's not a lot of long trades. Really, the only way you want to buy a long trade is in an uptrend, and this was really the only good uptrend until late in the afternoon, and we really just didn't get a good buy opportunity here. There's one over here that I've struggled with whether it should be maybe marked, but I definitely should probably mark that one. I went back and forth over it. I like the trade. Just leave it at that, and I'm going to go ahead and mark it. So it's a failed second entry short there, and there's a failed break lower here, and there is a trend line going up, and you really didn't have this confirmed yet, although it did fit really nicely down here. But there was an overshoot, as you can see on this low side, and a lot of times that leads to a reversal. So this is a trade you probably don't want to skip because you might catch that low of the day. It didn't turn out to be the case this time, but you just never know. This turned out to actually be a midline right here, so I'm going to lighten it. Once it started going lower, just get a measured distance, and look, we bounced off of it to the tick. So that'll generally find your reversal area. But let's back out where you can see a little better, talk about the trades, and we'll wrap this week up. So first trade I saw was right here. This is actually your signal bar. You really could have entered there. Notice that you've got a channel working up, and this looks rangy. You get a little close outside here, and then a reversal to a new high, and it turns down. This is still a relatively bearish bar. It's only 2 ticks down here and a big, huge stem, but it's not perfect. But when this one closed, I would have let a break below this. You really could have used a stop. Once it broke below here, just either put a limit order in here or go ahead and put your stop in. Either way, and it does pull back and would have filled your limit order, and you actually could have gotten filled a tick better there by putting it right at the low of that. So it would have got you, but your stop has to go above this top, this high here. So just keep that in mind. And then we push down, we pull back, we get another. I drew the trend line off those first couple, and it probably ties back in up here, but I just went with this shorter term price move down here, so I didn't even look at it to see how it may tie in, but I'm sure it probably does. But you get a failed second entry long here, and you could treat this like a failed second entry long right here as well. But it's not a very good signal bar, but if you looked at it like a trap, you might have wanted to enter there. We'll make that one green. And it's probably close to being red, but I think you're better off to wait. And there is a little trend line there, you can see. It's probably more like that right there because you use those first couple of closes. But it's hard to say because you could be here and then you don't have a break. But I probably would read this as being off those first couple of closes, and then you get a close outside, a push to a new high, and turns down. But it's just not a very good signal bar. But if you looked at it like it's a trap, you might want to enter. We're not quite below the EMA yet either, but when it pulls back here, you got a for sure trap. And it turns back down. I'd be ready to go short right there. You might look at this support here and say, hey, there's some support right there. But with that trap, we're probably going lower. And it does pull back and kind of give you a double test here. But that's just too much sideways. So I didn't like entering there. I think it was too risky. Wait and see if you get a pullback on that one. And also, not only is this a pullback to test that one, there's a double top there, but look how bearish that is. And it's right off the trend line, right off the key entry point. But this is almost a repeat pattern of that. It's just sideways and then touches the trend line and down. Sideways, touches the trend line and down. And it does the same thing right here. Sideways, touches the trend line and down. So those are like repeat patterns. Otherwise, I'd be a little bit leery of all that sideways action. But once you see those repeat patterns, they tend to, if it worked one time, it's going to work the next. And so I like those. And again, it's off a key entry point every time with a nice setup bar. So, and then you get another one here, but you're right into the overnight. Actually, that's not the overnight support, but that had been the support since 1:30 in the morning, my time. And this is 9 o'clock, so that's been support for hours. So you don't want to be going short into that one. You don't want to go long yet, though. You want to wait on that reversal pattern. Generally a reversal pattern looks better if it pushes on through the EMA and pulls back, but this still fits the criteria. Notice that we bounced twice off of the strong support. There's no break of this trend line yet, but a lot of times on range days you won't get a break and a retest because the support's too strong. But notice what this one does. You get the first entry short, and then normally if you get a nice bearish bar off the EMA and it doesn't go down and retest that low, then you probably got a trap. So go long right there. And you don't want to go short yet, even though it's a second entry, simply because you got this strong support down here, and in the bigger picture we got a range day. And so you got to be real careful. If you did go short there's nothing you can do but reverse when it breaks higher. But yeah, when that turned down and broke lower, it should have shot right on down there. And when it didn't, that's telling you something. The buyers, all the smart buyers are getting in already, and they're looking to buy. And if this signal bar right here would have been more bullish, I would have said enter there, just simply because it's looking like a range, and this has been strong support for hours. But it takes off, and you really don't ever get another chance to enter. You get your first close outside this little trend line or trend channel right here, runs to a new high, and then it makes one more push up for your second leg and makes a double top there, and I like entering there on that bearish bar. It's tempting to enter here, but and it does break higher, but you don't have a new high in place yet, and you're back above that midline area in there, so you got to be careful of that. But when it breaks higher and turns down, now you got your break in two legs. I like entering on that one. Then we just kind of go sideways, and there's really no good longs here. This one is tempting, but look at all that overlap right there, and you got a doji in the middle. And then it comes back down and it holds there. And so this one, now you got a double bounce right there at that level, but it's right into the EMA, not much room to here. Would have worked, but again, I think you're better off just to wait, and because this is looking like a little trading range, and then you get that failed break higher. And this is a double bottom, so first entry, second entry, so enter right there. And you're just looking to come back to here, basically. but you never know. And again, it pushes on through and keeps going lower. I don't really see any other opportunity. There's a breakout pullback short here, but I don't think you want to enter it. Um, and by this time, you got this line here, you pull it down, and prices are bouncing right there. Um, so I don't think you want to enter here. It's a little ways away from the EMA, and that's a nice reversal bar. But I wouldn't enter along there. I'd wait on the reversal pattern, which doesn't come to here. And at that point, you're hoping you may even catch one of these, this next move up from there. But you don't get it. Notice it's right back inside that support right there. So that's another reason I like it. But notice the new low, pullback first entry, pullback second entry. It's failed second entry short. It actually went lower and then turned, went out the other side. And you got room to get out before getting back up here. And so I liked it. And again, you may keep going and you may end up getting a measured leg up. That doesn't turn out to be the case, but you don't know that till after the fact, so you got to go with basically and follow the rules. That's why we follow the rules and have those rules. But we turn down again right off the trend line, and that confirms this little channel here for sure. But we're stacked up again. You got a doji in there, not a great signal bar, no break of this trend line coming up. Just not a good place to risk a short yet. Wait and see if you get your pattern, and then look, it pushes right through the EMA, pulls back. I like that one. The only reason I marked that one green is because you're back inside this range, and you're going to be going short right into that support. So I was leery of it. I think you have to be. And notice it did push through and then turn back up. So your better trade was to wait on that failed second entry long and then go short right here. And this thing just kind of moves on down. It's kind of choppy and slow, but if you want to be aggressive, there's reasons to say, hey, I'm going to risk this one. But you could have easily gotten stopped out right there because it could have ticked up another tick higher and then turned back down, but you would have survived it. But I still think it's too aggressive. I think you're better off to wait on this entry because now you got the trap, failed second entry long. And there would probably be some people looking to get long here because it's back in this trading range. But it's obvious they didn't fool a lot of people. It's not a great trap because it didn't really take off really quickly, but it still meets the criteria and you're going to want to take it. But you can see how it didn't take off real fast. If you catch a trap, it's usually going to drop real fast like these did. This was probably a good trap here. Same thing here. They trapped these people long. Same thing here. They trapped them long again, and they all had to exit. But we're still working down. We get another bounce. I drew this trend line off these lows and drug it up. I originally had it a little lower. It still fits there, so it doesn't matter. But notice we got a new low here. You pull back first entry, pull back, and this is a second entry short, right off where you're expecting a turn on a trend line, and fairly bearish bar. So I liked it. Plus, you can again treat this like a little trading range, and this is a failed break higher. We've seen that pattern all day long. It's worked every time. Take that trade. Pushes down, pulls back, right at the trend line again. It gives you a big bearish bar. It actually broke higher, then turned and went right out the other side. I like just putting a stop there, but if not, when this one closed, put a stop right there because they trapped some people right here. I think the longs finally gave up and the shorts finally realized, hey, this, we did confirm a trend line. We're probably going shorter, and the bottom kind of falls out right there. So this was a really good setup. If you waited on this one and put a stop, you probably it would have already moved on, and I doubt you would have gotten filled on a limit order, maybe, but it's doubtful, and you would have missed a really good trade there. So, and of course we bounce right here at the support. It does push on through, just goes sideways. We already talked about that. You really don't want to enter long, even though we're a good ways away from the EMA. This thing's looking kind of bearish at this point. You did reach your measured move here on this channel, so you figure you're going to bounce, but again, I think you're better off to wait on your reversal pattern, which doesn't come till here. Notice how we push up. We get a first entry short, pull back, second entry short, then it reverses. And again, it's a repeat pattern. Normally I like it to push on through the EMA and set up that reversal pattern. But we saw this one earlier right here. This is almost exact repeat pattern of that right there. Look at it, and it takes off again. And we did just come off the low, so we're looking for prices to come back up to the high side. And you, for the most part, you got your trend line off those first two, and that just confirms it. And notice how it takes off. All the shorts start exiting. And it kind of goes sideways. This is a double bottom, so you can treat that like a new low. Pull back first entry short, pull back second entry short, another failed second entry short. We are kind of going sideways, and it is a little late in the day, but we're probably headed up to here. And there's also a little, you can see that this is a little bit of a trading range. That's a little failed break lower, and so it's probably going to shoot up. And I would look for a leg like that one. And you can see we got basically a perfect measured leg up there, and then it sold off again. So this one's even tempting, but it's after 2 o'clock, so I don't think you want to take that one. And that was it for the day. So really a pretty good trading day. Again, the bias was mostly down, but it's definitely a neutral day. So on these reversals and these failed breaks, you can look to buy, but you see there's only one or two buys here today, because for the most part we were just trending down. And I do think that the big picture was the trading range as well. So, but you just didn't get a lot of bounces off this low here. The one time it finally got back down here late in the morning, it didn't even hold. It just shot right through and pulled back and went lower. So you just didn't get a lot of opportunities to buy. It was mostly all down off the key entry points, off the shorter term trend lines, and they worked well. Just notice what happened every time prices came back to this trend line. If you sold, you would have made money. Even here, I think there's enough to get out. Same thing here. Every time it came back until it broke. Right here, every time it came back to this trend line, if you sold, this trend line, every time it came back, if you sold, you made money. And that's the key to this thing. Key entry points. I always say that. Key entry points. Where are those key entry points? In ranges, they're the support and the resistance areas. And in trend channels, which are basically just slanted support and resistance levels, it's mainly the resistance. Well, it'd be the trend side. So if we're going up, you're only looking to buy, and if we're trending down, you're only looking to sell for the most part. So if you just stick to those basic rules there, you can't hardly, you'll have pretty good success. But when you throw the rest of the rules in there with it and you stick to those basics, you're going to have success. It takes a while. You got to get experience and learn what all to see, and it is a skill finding these trend lines. Over the years, I've had people come into the site and they'll argue with it. You can't find these trend lines until it's all over. But that's bogus. It's a skill, and I teach that skill, and I show it how it works every day, and show it in real time. And once you learn it, you can be prepared for it, but you don't learn it overnight. So just be aware of that. But don't let somebody tell you that it can't be done, because it can. It's a skill, and it takes a while. But once you train your eyes to find these trend lines and these trend channels, you're light years ahead of the game. And the first few years I only used the major trend lines. You wouldn't see me using these short-term ones as much, but I learned that down to every level, price action works. And so use these shorter term ones, because they'll keep you out of some bad trades, and they'll alert you to the best places to enter. No doubt about it. So I'm going to wrap it up. Hope you have a good trading day tomorrow and a great weekend. We'll be back to do it again on Monday, but this is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.